This is Listening with Franklin Livingston, and our guest is Jennifer Tiberio Leone.
You were baptized or confirmed in that tradition.
I was, yeah.
It was the conservative. There are two Lutheran churches, at least Midwest. There was Evangelical Lutheran and Missouri Synod Lutheran, which is super duper conservative. You're smiling. I think you understand more than me.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
So when we were little, we went to Grace Lutheran Church in Stratford, Connecticut, which is where my mom and dad were married. It was family church, everybody knew everybody. And we used to only go on Christmas and Easter because they had the big Easter egg hunt and then the Easter brunch. And then on Christmas, because they had the candles, the midnight mass. And we just loved that. Great stuff. Other than that, we were not a churchy group. And then when we had to get confirmed, we had to do the classes and whatnot. So we had to go to church every Sunday. So during middle school, which your formative years, puberty, everybody hates everyone. When you're in sixth grade, you hate your parents, you hate yourself, you hate everybody else. You're
Why am I in this world?
Yeah, it's like you're having all these changes go through your body. Like you're overweight in some places. I was growing out my hair. I was in my fugly phase. It was not good. Anyway, this is when I was going to church, and when I first started going to church, and we'd go to Christmas and Easter and stuff like that, and once in a blue moon we'd go to a thing if there was a baptism or something that we did. But my mom's pastor, Pastor Benson, was so nice to us. He's the one that married them, and he would always give us little toys and stuff if we came back and talked to him in the office with my mom and stuff. So he gave us these little, those little capsules that turn into sponges. If you put them in the water, they look like little pills. Yeah, they look like little pills that come in these capsules that look like Tylenol or whatever. And you put them in the water, and the warm water dissolves it, and it opens up and turns into a sponge. And it could be any shape or anything. So he gave us some, and we took them home, and I put them in the water, and out pops a dinosaur. And I was like, something doesn't add up. Now, we've been going to Bible school, and they've been teaching us about Adam and Eve and all those other things going on. And I'm just the creation of the world. Something didn't add up. I was like, wait a minute. Dinosaurs. And I loved dinosaurs. Dinosaurs were my jam back when I was a little kid. So here I'm 6 years old. And we went back next Sunday, and I brought my little dinosaur sponge with me, and I said, I don't understand. And I threw it down on his desk. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, if the world was made in 6 days, then how were the dinosaurs billions of years ago over all this time? And the creation of the universe couldn't have been in 6 days. And he goes, a day could have been a massive amount of time and this and that. And I just didn't buy it. I was religion doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand. And then that Christmas, I ended up getting a couple books for Christmas. And I got the Aesop's Fables. I don't know if you're familiar with. Aesop's Fables was a bunch of illustrated stories about morals. Each story teaches you a moral at the end of it. The lion and the grasshopper, the crow and the fox. And basically it would teach you at the end, if you do this, then this will happen. Or the moral.
The grapes are sour.
Yes, sour grapes. That's an Aesop's fable. That's an Aesop's fable. Okay. So at the same time, I got another book from the same publisher, same type of book, same beautiful illustrated book, children's Bible. And it hit me. I said, oh, now I get it. Aesop's Fables is a bunch of stories about morals with animals as the characters, and the Bible is just people and morals and stories. So they're both fiction. And my mom's like, no, that's not what that means. I said, but no, it makes sense now that this is supposed to teach us lessons in life, to make us better people, just like Aesop's fables. And she goes, no, the Bible's real. And I was like, I'm a little kid. I'm just like, I don't think you're right. Anyway, so
Did you get a large conflict? Or
she cried because I didn't believe in the Bible, and I
you
kept
didn't
it.
believe in the Bible the way she wanted.
Right, exactly. Like I'm sorry, I didn't believe the stories about how someone came back from the dead and, died for. I mean, maybe he died for our sins, but he didn't come back, and clearly we're doing a bad job here. So.
The two angels on your left and right.
Yeah, and burning bush and walking on water and all this other stuff and all the miracles. And maybe he's a really good magician. I'm not sure. I mean, Jesus definitely could have been around that. But you take the accounts of all these different people, all these disciples writing this Bible, and I mean, it's like the history books. You read a history book from 1985 and you read one now, they are very different stories. I can only imagine how different the stories got over and over time. I mean, you look at an older Bible, like if you look at the Old Testament and the New Testament, if you're Jewish, you don't even believe in the New Testament. So what's real, what's not real, doesn't matter. As long as what you get out of it is positive and not negative, because that's the whole point. And here we are sitting there with Lutheranism, and you said the Midwest, the evangelical. So we ended up leaving Grace Lutheran Church, and we went to a new place because there was a new pastor after Pastor Benson had passed. We left and went to a different church, and we ended up in this. It was a holy roller, Bible thumping evangelical church, and we got in there, and the first minute we sat down, the preacher was up there on the pulpit, and he's just like, "You are a sinner," and we're like, "Whoa, what?" Because to me, I always looked at Catholicism. I've gone to my friends' churches a few times. My best friend, she's like Roman Catholic, her parents Italian, and we go to her church, and Catholicism to me was like guilty before proven innocent, and Lutheranism was innocent before proven guilty. So I was like, if you don't believe in God, you're going to hell over here, and if you believe in God, you'll go to heaven.
Martin Luther was Catholic.
Yeah, and he broke away from the Catholic Church. So I always looked at it as like a watered down version of Catholicism, where he took all the stuff that was good from Catholicism and brought it to Lutheranism, and trying to teach the good news as opposed to
scary news.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but fire and brimstone as opposed to we're holding a lamb and talking about how lovely people should be to each other. And I'm like,
one thing I never understood, how come people who are Catholic Church, most of them, mostly in my circle, I should say, are very less informed about the good things about the faith or the implications. It's more like ritual based. You go to church.
It's cultish. It's absolutely cultish. Yeah. Organized religion in and of itself, which is again why I'm not even Lutheran anymore. The only thing I got out of organized religion was learning about it.
It didn't help you as a child in your moral formation at all? Like when you go to those catechism, I don't know what they call it, but catechism classes, again, like these stories, how do we learn from them as a kid to be a better human being, not be a bully, be nice, being empathetic, without using heavy words?
I do think that the stories that they teach you as a child from the Bible, especially in my Lutheran classes, were the moral stories to help lead you to being a good person. Like
They did.
I do think, yeah, I think that if you teach a child any story with a good moral, it's going to help. It doesn't have to be religious. You know what I mean?
Bedtime stories.
Absolutely. Um, this is why people read to children. This is why children's books exist. You teach children through a learning curve that they can understand. Like, not a curve.
Not like where it's like a prince comes from a foreign land.
Right, not fairy tales.
Kisses.
But if
So
you,
wait, no, Sleeping Beauty. You're mixing up now.
again, Aesop's Fables was a perfect example of this. If I hadn't gone to church and someone had given me the book Aesop's Fables, I would still, I feel, be the same good human that I try to be because of those stories. I try to follow that moral compass the same as I did with the children's Bible. Now, where it gets iffy is when you're trying to teach these children or impressionable adults religion in a way that you're teaching all the wrong things from the Bible or taking passages out of context and trying to make that a lesson.
Which is very common.
Yes, and then that's why organized religion, say going to church and you read from the Bible that day and you talk about what we just read. When you're just spitting out things that you believe are true from the Bible, it's wrong to be gay. It's immoral for this. It's this and that. Well, that's your opinion. You're not trying to teach a lesson. You're shouting your opinion at someone and telling them they have to believe it, or they're going to hell too. That's not how you should learn. You should be able to go to whatever religion or belief system you want and be able to get those morals out of it without having to be told that this is what you need to believe in order to be saved. Because that's crazy, in my opinion.
No,
And-
I think the biggest question I have for the U.S. Christian. So, what's the theme of Christianity? And it doesn't matter if it's Catholicism, Lutheranism, Methodism,
Jesus.
Presbyterianism, right? It's like love your neighbor yourself.
Yeah.
And calling Jesus.
One would
Jesus.
think.
Yeah. Being empathetic.
Right.
Or the whole narrative of God incarnated into human body. I used narrative story is to teach humility and sing away in a manger or all that you've
Right.
seen and all. But I don't know people who call themselves who overly profess to be Christians.
Oh, they're the
and
worst.
Contractors of
They're-
Christianity. Yeah.
They are the worst offenders of using the Bible as a weapon as opposed to the teachings of Jesus. Because here's this hippie, this left-wing hippie that's trying to be like, hey, love your neighbor, man, peace. And you're over here, Sally, not wanting to bake a cake for a gay guy because Jesus wouldn't like that. What?
How do you know that? Yeah.
Are you
Yeah, that's the thing. So Jesus is okay. We don't have like a gay example, but Jesus is certain in that culture, tax collectors lived down, prostitutes, and the people who were outcast.
Right.
So those were Jesus's congregation, friends, or circle, and
The nonconformists.
yeah.
And now you've got Karen over here telling you need to conform or Jesus will hate you.
So yeah, we
God
have
will smite you.
I think there's this disconnect, and I don't know why. I'm assuming these people go to churches. Maybe, once I was driving, it was in the Midwest, and I turned on the radio channel. It was raining, and I was actually trying to find, they tell tornadoes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So there was a preacher guy, and I was like, "Gosh, listen, I don't know the name." And I began listening to say, Obama was the president. Within 5 minutes of his sermon, he was like, "That's what our president is not doing." I was, I was, of course, like I wasn't happy. Like, why are you bringing politics into that? And it was, in my opinion, I don't remember the topic, but it was so irrelevant. It's like you are delivering a sermon and connecting with, let's say, Qatar giving the US a jet.
Right.
And it might have nothing to do with your scriptural or moral formation. And I think that's something which gets missing. I don't know why. The principle of all these denominations of Christianity, I can speak more of Judaism, is just being empathetic, humble, the way God humbled,
Right, but
death. What you were saying, Jesus died on the cross for someone else's sins. And if you just apply it to yourselves, where do you stand? And do you do that?
right, and I think that the biggest thing that people do, especially in the Midwest, is does this story fit your narrative, your agenda? What do you believe? Like, if you grow up thinking because generationally that people like white people shouldn't date black people because that's how it was back in the day, and that's what you were taught by your parents, and that's generationally racism has gone up that ladder for you, and now you want to go and bring that into religion because you found a passage in the Bible that worked for your agenda, and now you're touting that out as religion, and that's not what it is, and that's why organized religion and putting together a sermon and then spouting hate, saying that this is what God wants, is the most immoral thing that I could possibly think of, because you have a lot of people out there that are just looking for something to believe in. It's really rough out there. And some people are looking for guidance, and some people turn to religion because they've gone through a lot of bad things. So they find religion because it's a group, and now you have got a group of people that support you. You want to make sure that that group is a good support, though, because if you join a group, you're like, wow, they really support me, and they love me, and like I'm a better person because of it. But that group is like Charles Manson, that's not a good thing. And because you trusted these people, that's why religion is like a cult, because it brings you in. We will love you. We'll love you for who you are, but you have to be like who we are. And then you change yourself for the religion, and now you become one of the problem. And it just keeps growing and gets bigger and bigger. And now if you're not part of the cult, now we're going to hate you.
Shouldn't people of faith, the term even faith, be so strong in their faith that it should attract others to get transformed? Why are you worried about the group that doesn't align with your belief system? And I think it's fear. Why are you living with fear if you have the faith?
Absolutely. It's being closed-minded, weak-willed, and needing the acceptance of others in order to feel more powerful for yourself, because you don't have, you never even went to look for it. Like, you found religion and you were like, this is easy because they accept me. But if that religion is steering you in the wrong direction, you are now going on a terrible path where you are starting to become the hate that was spewed at you that brought you there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or if you were born into it, it's the worst. Like you've been taught as a child, and now you are brainwashed into thinking that this is the right way to hate people for not being like you.
Hmm. So you left church in junior high, middle school?
So when I finally got confirmed, because my mom made us go religiously every Sunday until I was confirmed in eighth. I think it was eighth grade. Eighth grade, ninth, eighth grade.
That's your first communion?
Yeah. Uh, so I got my little cross and everything.
You still have it? No, I was like.
I gave it to someone that needed it more than I did.
Okay.
That's not true. I have the cross. I do. It's in my jewelry box. I had three, like I needed three. And because everyone gives you a cross for
Your gift.
a gift, and thanks
Yeah.
for gifting all these crosses. And I never wore it ever, except I think there was a time in the '90s where it was cool to wear crosses because it was like a goth thing.
I think some. Yeah, I think unless you're a rapper, I don't think it'll look nice if I'm waving cross.
Yeah, no, it didn't make sense to me either because I didn't believe in the religion. And
Mhm.
so I graduated from the confirmation. My mom gave us a choice. She said, we can keep going to church after this if you want. And I was like, absolutely not. I never want to go there again. And my mom was like, why not? And I said, it's not something I enjoy. It's not something I get anything out of. I've already gotten what I'm going to get out of religion. Not only that, but the kids were really, really mean at church. So, like, like I said, we're going through puberty and everything, and there was a clique there, and I had to go to all the Bible study. I was like the head of the youth group in my church, and we'd go on little trips, like camping trips and stuff like that. And they were so mean to me and my sister, and they'd outcast us. And I was like, and these are these little, like, rotten religious kids that were like, shut you, you're out. Like, you're not as cool as us. You can't hang out with us. I was like, you know what? I hate all of this. This is how you treat people. I was like, and if the Lutheran.
And that's the academy. If you are showing that kind of attitude there, what would you do in the actual world?
Right.
Right?
And so at that point, I was like, well, I don't want to be part of that. I can do better on my own. I've already learned that I should be a good person. They haven't. Maybe they still need church. I don't need to go to a church to believe in anything.
Well, yeah.
I can believe in, I believe in the universe. I believe in energy. I'm very spiritual, I guess, in that way. If there's a higher power, good job.
Can you sit like this without a thing, like holding a pole? Like people sit like this.
Yeah. I
In
may have
the
one of
air.
those special chairs that goes all the way
Okay.
through
She
my
let the
legs.
secret out. I wasn't telling anyone. But I'm gonna actually stick this. Do you want to sip this?
Sure, it looks delicious.
Like
It's good.
great. 0 calories.
That's the way I like it.
Come on. So these days, when you see people not being accountable, and we're not talking about someone who's almost 40, but kids these days, especially if you are close to the side, I don't know how close, is today's child different than when you were growing up in terms of their being a bully and behavior, or because they have more knowledge, they learn more through social media, or they are worse.
It depends on the kid, honestly. So I have nephews and my niece and whatnot.
I only met one, so that's why I don't know the little kids.
Yeah. And my best friends all have probably like 7-year-olds right now. So they got the little kids, and then I've watched my nephews and niece grow up, and they're good kids. I just I think, especially for my teenage niece, she's a teenage girl. She's got a lot of attitude. But I think I had a lot of attitude when I was a teenager too. And you're learning about the world, but you also think you know everything. My sister is always taking away her tablets and phones and things like that. So she doesn't have a lot of social media presence, unlike her friends. or kids that do have that. And I think that when you're constantly on the media, it definitely has a different effect on how you act and how you treat people. It's really easy to say something mean online because you don't have to look at someone face to face. And that's why you get all those trolls on there just saying whatever they want.
Yeah, I'm
on
gonna get
pictures.
into that. I'm still working on becoming me on social media.
But like when you have to confront somebody, when you are face to face with somebody and you've done something stupid or you say something mean to someone's face, you have to watch their reaction.
Yeah.
And it would hurt me to hurt someone like that. Like I don't feel good making people feel bad. Some people do, but that's
No,
because
but
they're
they're
hurting.
also sadists and
They're also hurting inside. They have to be. That's my take on it. If you have it in your heart to be so awful to someone, you've got to hate yourself so much. You have to, because there's no way that you can like who you are and spout out mean, horrible things.
what
It's
if
usually
you are
projected.
emotionally numb or you have some sort of illness, maybe not defined clinically, but
Well, that's a
you
different thing
enjoy-
altogether. Well, yeah, like I mean, masochists and sadists and narcissists just don't see what they're like that it's wrong. That's a difference in moral compass. That's not having. Um, but if you're morally sound, you know, we're all doing okay here. We're all the same beat, and you can be mean to somebody, and I feel like that's just because you're hurting inside. You're projecting how you feel because someone was mean to you, and now you're going to be mean to somebody. You can either break that cycle or you can fix it. And I chose to fix it because I don't want other people to feel that way. And other people are like, well, you were mean to me, I'm going to be mean to you. And I feel like this is a lot of Trump culture. Like, oh, I had to pay my what's it called? I had to pay my student loans. You're gonna have to pay your student loans. We're not giving you any free rides here. Or, oh well, my daddy hit me, I'm gonna hit you because that's the only way you'll learn. Or anything
And I
like
think
that.
that's what I was saying earlier. That's my dilemma. In Christian world, again, it doesn't matter it's Catholicism or evangelicalism. In the end of the day, the Bible is the same. It doesn't matter what version. The message is the same. And it's all about, so when you read Jesus' teachings, I think the more defined ones are in the book of Matthew.
Hmm.
It's about if somebody asks for one shirt, give them two. Pardon me if I'm quoting a little different, paraphrasing.
There's
it's
a lot
like-
of different versions of the Bible.
No, this is Franklin's version. But the idea is that if somebody asks, you give. If somebody needs something, give. And even like when I think it's the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, that's where I'm for sure, where Jesus is giving a parable. And the story is like a king, and the king is doing judgment and is saying, when I was sick, you didn't come to visit me. When I was hungry, you did not feed me. And people are saying, when did we do it? And he said, when you did this attitude, your attitude toward the least of my brethren, you did that to me. So if this all is Christianity, then how come we say, why should I share my resources with others? Or we should be clearly defined that I am not Christian. And that's what has been my struggle living in the Midwest. And I have been closer to extremely conservative evangelical people. And they think the focus is usually on saving the other person's soul.
Hmm.
So you don't end up in hell.
Right.
But what about the other teachings of the Bible? What about Jesus' teachings?
Well,
right?
how would we get these mega churches if we listen to that?
Most of them actually in Chicago, most of the churches die.
Yeah.
And one of the churches I went to, mega church, like a mall, and they had a lot of things there going on, mini restaurants and games for kids and all.